The gleaming spaceship Explorer Marum floated gracefully in the vacuum of space, a testament to the technological prowess of the Volari, an alien species whose obsession with curiosity had propelled them into the far reaches of the cosmos. Inside the ship, Kitara and her crew peered through their scanning consoles, eyes fixated on the blue and green orb on the central view screen. This was the planet called Earth, a new and fascinating find for the Volari, who had long explored the galaxy looking for potential friends and allies. Kitara, a tall violet-hued Volari with 6 fingers on each hand, leaned forward in her captain's chair. Her tail twitched with excitement as she observed the bustling blue atmosphere and patches of swirling clouds. She gestured to her fellow explorers, Belek and Myra. "Look at this," Kitara said, her eyes shimmering with the thrill of discovery. "It's incredible. This planet is full of life. Trees, oceans, wildlife, and—" she paused dramatically. "Sentient beings. Can you imagine the stories they might tell?" Beck, the Explorer Marum's engineer, let out an exasperated sigh. "I don't know, Kitara. We've had some strange encounters lately. Remember that one with the Carnolorians? They tried to feed us to their sacred algae." Kitara smirked. "Well, at least we got out of that one without losing our tails." Myra, the ship's communication specialist, interjected, her eyes wide with curiosity. "I think it's worth the risk, Captain. The language data we've gathered suggests that they call themselves humans, and they've got complex cultures, technologies, and according to what I can decipher, they love something called cats. I'm very intrigued." Kitara nodded. "All right. Let's observe them from a safe distance for a while. If they're friendly, maybe we'll make contact." The crew all agreed, and the Explorer Marum moved into a stable orbit behind Earth's moon, out of sight but with a perfect view of the blue planet below. They had settled into their surveillance, quietly marveling at the chaotic beauty of Earth's ecosystems, when a sudden alarm blared from Beck's console. "Captain, we're being scanned!" Beck shouted, his 6 fingers tapping furiously on the screen. "What? By whom?" Kitara demanded, swiveling her chair toward the monitor. "I don't know. Something local is coming from the surface." The ship's view screen flickered, and suddenly a formation of sleek gray spacecraft appeared, their metallic surfaces gleaming in the sunlight. They were distinctly different from any technology the Volari had encountered before. Sturdy, direct, very obviously armed. "Oh, wonderful," Myra said, her voice thick with sarcasm. "They've got guns, and they're pointed at us." A stern voice crackled over the comms, their translation systems working frantically to decipher it. "Unidentified spacecraft, this is General Thompson of the United States Space Force. You are in restricted airspace. Identify yourselves immediately, or we will open fire." Tara swallowed, her violet face paling a bit. "Hello, General Thompson," she stammered, unsure how to proceed. "We are explorers. We mean no harm." There was a pause. Then the voice returned, sharper this time. "Explorers? From where?" "We need a lot more information than that." Tatro glanced at Myra and Beck, both of whom gave her a look that could only be interpreted as, "You got us into this, you get us out." With a nervous smile, Kitara cleared her throat and said, "We are from, far away. We're not hostile, just curious. We really, really like your cats." Another silence, then a slightly confused, almost amused tone replied, "Our cats?" "Yes, wonderful creatures," Kitara said enthusiastically, her nerves settling as she picked up on the softening tone. "We have seen many images of them on your broadcasts. Very fluffy, quite charming." Belk groaned under his breath. "We're going to get blown out of the sky over cats." To everyone's surprise, the line crackled again, this time with a faint snicker in the background. "All right, explorers, maintain your position. We're sending a team to escort you to a secure location where we can talk. Any sudden moves, and you're done for. Got it?" Keitara nodded vigorously, though she doubted the humans could see her. Absolutely, no sudden moves. We'll stay right here. The screen went black, and the tense silence in the cabin was broken by Myra, who exhaled deeply. Well, that could have gone worse. Could have gone better, too, Blick muttered, but there was a hint of a smile on his lips. A few hours later, the explorer Marum was escorted carefully and under heavy guard to a landing site in a remote desert. Human soldiers, their weapons at the ready, formed a perimeter around the ship as Kitara, Black, and Myra descended the ramp, their hands held up in what they hoped was a universally understood gesture of peace. They were greeted by General Thompson, a tall human with a graying mustache and a no-nonsense expression. Beside him stood a younger woman in crisp uniform, who was looking at the Volari with wide, fascinated eyes. "Welcome to Earth," General Thompson said gruffly. "I'm told you're interested in our cats?" Dakara nodded eagerly. "Yes, General, we have found them most intriguing, but beyond that, we wish to learn about your people. We are explorers of the galaxy, always seeking knowledge and friendship." The young woman next to the general smiled, clearly charmed. "General, I think they're harmless. Maybe we should show them around a bit." The general shot her a sideways glance, then sighed. "All right, but they stay under escort at all times. If they try anything funny—" "We won't," Kitara said quickly. "No funny business, I promise." Thus began the Volari's whirlwind tour of Earth, though it was far from the grand, ceremonial introduction to humanity that Qatar had envisioned. Instead, it was more akin to a strange school field trip. They were driven around in an armored vehicle, accompanied by a small unit of soldiers who seemed both amused and wary of their visitors. Their first stop was a local animal shelter, which Myra declared was a must-see. Inside, rows of cats lounged lazily in their cages or pranced around playfully. Kitara's eyes widened in delight as a fluffy orange tabby meowed at her. "This is incredible," she whispered, reaching a careful hand toward the cat, which sniffed her fingers before rubbing its head against them. "So soft." The general watched, arms crossed, as Myra tried to coax another cat to play with the dangling string. He muttered to the young officer beside him of all the things they could be interested in. It had to be cats. The officer grinned. "Maybe they're not so different from us after all, sir." From there, the Volari were taken to a small town nearby, where they experienced Earth cuisine, much to Bleck's dismay. He stared dubiously at a hot dog that had been handed to him, sniffed it, and then looked at Kitara with a frown. "This does not look like food." Tara, however, had already taken a bite of her hot dog and was nodding enthusiastically. "It's good, Bleck. Try it." Reluctantly, Bleck took a cautious bite and then blinked in surprise. It is strangely enjoyable." The humans laughed, the soldiers visibly relaxing as they watched the aliens try their food. The general even cracked a smile as he watched Myra's face light up when she tasted ice cream for the first time. The tour continued, with the Volari visiting a park where they marveled at children playing, a library where they were fascinated by the vast number of books, and finally, a small observatory where they looked through telescopes at the stars they had traveled through. Tateris stood on the observatory balcony, gazing up at the sky, her heart full. "This planet," she said softly, "it's so full of life, so full of stories. I think we could learn a lot from these humans." The young officer, who had introduced herself as Lieutenant Garcia, smiled beside her. "I think we could learn a lot from you two. You're not what we expected when we first saw your ship." Tara chuckled. "To be fair, we didn't expect to be greeted with guns either." Garcia laughed. "Yeah, sorry about that. We're a little jumpy when it comes to strangers, but I think this could be the start of something good." Kitara nodded, her eyes shining. "I hope so. We want nothing more than to share knowledge, to be friends." By the end of their visit, the Valari had managed to charm most of their human escorts. Even General Thompson had softened, giving them a gruff handshake as they prepared to leave. "If you come back," he said, "maybe let us know ahead of time. It might save us all some trouble." Katera smiled. "We will, General, and perhaps next time you could show us more of those cats." The General sighed, but there was a twinkle in his eye. "Yes, sure. More cats." As the Exploramurum ascended back into space, Kitara, Balek, and Myra gathered around the view screen, watching Earth grow smaller below them. "That went well, all things considered," Balek said, leaning back in his chair. Katera nodded. "We made contact, and more importantly, I think we made friends." Myra grinned. "And we learned about cats? Honestly, best mission ever." Katara laughed, her heart light. "Agreed, let's make a note. Earth, friendly, fascinating, and full of fluffy creatures. I think we'll be back." The ship sailed off into the darkness, leaving behind a planet that was no longer just another point of interest on their charts, but a place they could call a friend